Okay, so my 4.29 math class. So today, I'm going to show you something pretty cool. All right, so if we have the problem, let's just do 30 divided by 4. So I would say 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. And we subtract that. 10 minus 8 is 2. My remainder, it can be written several times, is 2. Or I could write it 7 and 2 over 4, which equals 7 and 1/2. But today, I'm going to show you a way to continue on with the division problem so you won't have a remainder. It's pretty cool. So there's two simple things that we have to do to continue on with our division problem so we won't have a remainder. So this is what we do. So we have 30 divided by 4. So we say the same thing. Everything's going to be the same. 7 times 4 is still 28. That doesn't change at all. And 30 minus 28 is still 2. That does not change at all. But here's where the cool part goes, where we can continue on dividing so we won't have a remainder. So what you do, you draw your little division thing out longer, and you bring a decimal up, and you put it after your answer in your quotient, okay, before you would have a remainder. And then you will annex a 0. So you're actually annexing a decimal and a 0. Remember the word annex? Just means add. You're adding a decimal to your quotient and a 0 to your dividend, okay? So then we bring our 0 down and we say how many times will 4 go into 20? It will go in there 5 times. So we have just, and then 4 times 5 is 20. We subtract and it's 0. So 7.5, does the answer remain the same? 0.5 is what? 5 tenths. 5 tenths equals 1/2. So our answer still comes out the same. We're just writing it without the remainder. 7.5 is our answer. Your decimals are important in any answer that you need a decimal in. As a matter of fact, on your test yesterday, I had to mark several things off because decimals were not there or not in the right spot. You've got to take time. I realize you're typing your answers in. I get that. But it's not any harder to type a decimal in the right place as it is to write it in the right place, okay? 75.26. 80, I mean, if you're typing 7.526, you had to take just as much effort to put the point after the 7 as you would have after the 5. You see what I'm saying? So you have got to have your answers or your decimals in the correct place. So our answer is 7.5. We annexed a decimal point in our quotient, and we annexed a 0 in our dividend. Now, will you always go out just one time, or always just annex 1 0? Sometimes, just one. Sometimes you'll go on and on and on and keep annexing zeros and annexing zeros and annexing zeros. At some point, you will come to an end and not have to annex any zeros, or you will actually come to something that just repeats over and over and over and over, and it never ends. Y'all remember that song? I don't know if y'all remember. You probably heard me sing it though. It is the song that doesn't end. It just goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it not knowing what it was, and they continued singing it forever just because it is a song that doesn't end, and it never stops. So that's how when at some point in time we'll learn about another decimal. I can't remember if we get to it this year or not before we're done, but it repeats. So we have a sign that we would put over it for a repeating decimal. None of our decimals right now will repeat, but it just never ends. But that can happen. So for right now, go ahead and open your books to page 277, and we're going to do several of these together. Pretty excited about showing y'all that. I think that is one of our really cool things. This is actually six middle school stuff. We're getting y'all ready for middle school stuff, and did you see how easy it was? Just because it's middle school does not mean it's going to be crazy and hard, because that was pretty easy. All right, so let's look at 2A. We have 15 divided by 2. 2 will go into 15 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. 15 minus 14 is 1. We don't have anything else to bring down. I don't want a remainder, so I'm going to annex a decimal point in my quotient and annex a 0 in my dividend. Now I'm going to bring my 0 down, and 2 will go into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. So my answer is 7 5/10 or 7.5. Next we have 58 divided by 4. So 4 will go into 5 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 is smaller than our divisor. Bring down the next digit, which is an 8. 4 will go into 18 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. I don't have another number to bring down. I don't want a remainder, so I'm going to annex a decimal in my quotient and annex a 0 in my dividend. So now I'm ready to bring down my 0, and 4 will go into 20 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. So our answer is 14.5 or 5/10. I want you to go ahead and complete section 1 on your own before you go on to your interactive worksheet. I want you to have this practice. But I don't feel like I need to do them all with you because it's pretty easy division. You just have to remember to annex your decimal in the quotient and annex your 0 in the dividend. Go ahead and look at section 2 though. On section 2 we have 37 divided by 4. So 4 will go into 37 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36. 37 minus 36 is 1. 1 is smaller than our divisor 4. I don't want to have a remainder, so I will annex a decimal in my quotient and a 0 in my dividend. I bring my 0 down. 4 will go into 10 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. I subtract. 10 minus 8 is 2. 2 is smaller than my divisor. Now I'm going to have to annex another 0. Do I put another decimal in my quotient? No, we never see an answer with 2 decimals, but we will have to annex another 0. So we bring that 0 down, and then 4 will go into 20 5 times, and 4 times 5 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. Let's do letter B together too. We have 26 divided by 8. How many times will 8 go into 26? 8 times 3 is 24, so we subtract. 2 is smaller than our divisor. We don't want to have a remainder, so we will annex a decimal point in our quotient and a 0 in our dividend. We bring down our 0. How many times will 8 go into 20? 8 will go into 22 times. 8 times 2 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. 4 is smaller than our divisor. We do not want a remainder, so we're going to have to annex another 0 to bring down. And how many times will 8 go into 40? It will go in there 5 times, and 8 times 5 is 40. So our answer is 3.25. Okay, and once again, I'm not going to do, let's do one more. Let's look at letter C. We have 75 divided by 8. Make some room for that. Okay, so 8 will go into 75 9 times. 9 times 8 is 72. We subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 is smaller than my divisor. I don't want to have a remainder. Say it with me. I'm going to annex a decimal in my 0. A decimal in my quotient. Annex a 0 in my dividend. Bring down my 0. 8 will go into 30. 8 times 4 is 24, or 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32, so it's going to have to be 3. And 8 times 3 is 24. We subtract. We have 6. 6 is smaller than my divisor 8, so I'm going to have to annex yet another 0 in my dividend to bring it down. How many times will 8 go into 60? 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 7 is 56, so it's gonna have to be 7. Put our 56 down, subtract. 4 is smaller than our divisor. We're gonna have to annex yet another 0 and bring it down. And 8 will go into 40. We all know 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. So on this one, we had to annex 3 zeros. And our answer is 9 375 thousandths, or 9.375. So the rest of that you can go ahead and do on your own. But please do be sure and do them because I want you to have the practice. Look at section 3. Solve these story problems. It says last year, during a period of 52 weeks, Mr. Bowman saved $2,444. What was his average savings for each week? So they've given you the total already. You don't have anything that you have to add up. So you're going to set this story problem up by just dividing the total by the number of weeks. $2,444 divided by 52. Okay? That's how much he saved. Go ahead and turn it over to page 278. Some of this you will do on your interactive worksheet, but I want to look at 6A. We have 12 1/4 minus 6 2/3. 12 1/4 minus 6 2/3. So the first thing we're going to have to do is bring our whole numbers over and set up to make equivalent fractions. Our least common denominator for 4 and 3 is 12. 3 will go into 12 4 times, and 2 times 4 is 8. 4 will go into 12 3 times, and 1 times 3 is 3. We cannot subtract 8 from 3, so we're going to have to borrow from our 12 and make it 11. Our 1 that we're going to borrow to add to this fraction is going to be 12 over 12. And now we're ready to write our brand new problem that we have. We now have 11 and 12 plus 3. We're adding our numerators here is 15 minus 6 and 8/12. 11 minus 6 is 5. 15 minus 8 is 7. Subtracting my numerators, and my denominator is 12. So my answer is 5 7/12. Look at, letter C is just adding. You do have to reduce that fraction in your answer though. Go ahead and look at letter K. We have 14 divided by 7/8. When we divide by a fraction, change our sign, change and flip, change and flip. So put our whole number over 1 times, change the sign, and flip, times 8 over 7. 7 will go into 7 one time, it'll go into 14 two times. 2 times 8 is 16, 1 times 1 is 1. So our answer is 16. Do not write 16 over 1 as your answer, that is improper. 16 divided by 1 is simply 16, okay? Look at letter H-I-J-K-L, letter K. We have 2/5 divided by 4/7. So we're dividing by a fraction. We have to change and flip. So 2/5 change, instead of divide, times, and flip, instead of 4/7, 7/4. Okay? 4 will go into 4. I'm sorry, 2 will go into 2 one time. 2 will go into 4 two times. So 1 times 7 is 7, and 5 times 2 is 10. So our answer is 7/10. Then we have 4/11 divided by 2/9. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it because there are people who are still missing these division problems, and there is no reason to miss dividing by a fraction. Dividing by a fraction is the same exact thing as multiplying by a fraction. You just have to change the sign to multiply and flip your second fraction. There's really no reason to be missing this if you're thinking about what you're doing, because we've been doing it a lot. And did we do it before school was over? Yes, I feel like we didn't do it before school was over. But either way, we've been doing it. It's change the sign and flip. So we have 4 11s times, change our sign, flip our fraction, 9 over 2. 2 will go into 2 one time, it will go into 4 2 times. 2 times 9 is 18. 11 times 1 is 11, so we have an improper fraction. We have to turn it into a whole, our mixed number. 11 will go into 18 one time. 1 times 11 is 11. 18 minus 11 is 7. So our answer is 1 and 7 11ths. Okay? And then we have one more, letter Q, I want to do with you. Well, one more of the fractions. So we have 1 and 1/2 divided by 3 and, what is it, 1/4. So our first thing we have to do is turn our mixed numbers into improper fractions. 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So we have 3/2 divided by 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13 divided by 13/4. So now we're going to change the sign and flip our second fraction. 3 over 2 times 4 13ths. So 2 will go into 2 one time. It'll go into 4 2 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 13 is 13. And 6 13ths cannot be reduced, so that is our answer. Alright? So go ahead and look at section 7. Section 7, letter A. Feel like it's been a minute since we've done one of these together, so I'd like to do it with you today. So we have 3n equals 8 plus 4. Always do what we can do. We can do this right here. 3n equals 12. Remember, we have a number and a letter beside each other. They multiplied. We're going to do the opposite to get n by itself. And the opposite of multiplication is division. Simply use your fraction bar. 3n divided by 3 equals 12 divided, oops, I can just use that 12 right there, equals 12 divided by 3. So over here, our 3's cancel each other out, and n equals 4. Just that simple, okay? Letter B, we have n over 8 equals 19 minus 11. Okay, so first we do what we can. N over 8 equals 19 minus 11. 9 minus 1 is 8, so it's just 18. Or just 8. So now n over 8 equals 8. They divided by n. We are going to do the opposite. Or they divided by 8. We're going to do the opposite and multiply by 8. N over 8 times, put your 8 over 1. You're multiplying by a fraction. Equals 8 times 8. Multiply by 8 on this side. You must multiply by 8 on that side. Our 8's cancel each other out, so n equals 64. And then our last one. They make this look really hard, guys, with all those numbers in there, but it's not. N plus 4 equals 6, as long as I can read them. 16 divided by 4 plus 9 plus 10 plus, no, is that plus or divided by? I'm going with divided by 3, I don't know. Hang on, y'all gonna laugh at me. Well, no, I'll mess up my thing. I got me a little magnifying glass out here to look at these tiny little numbers. I think it is divided by though. I wish y'all could be yelling out at me, it's divided by, Miss McDermott. See, I need you guys. Alright, so let's see if that works. Divided by 3. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 plus 9 is 13. 13 plus 10 is 23. Nope, it must be plus. And 23 plus 3 is 26. Let me do it again to make sure. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 plus 9 is 13. 13 plus 10 is 23. Plus 3 is 26. So n plus 4 equals 26. So they added 4. We're going to do the opposite and subtract 4. See, it's not hard if you can see the doggone signs. N plus 4 minus 4 equals 26 minus 4. Our 4's cancel each other out. N equals 26 minus 4 is 22. And I didn't read one of those signs right because it's the different answer in the book. But this will work. All right, that's not even on your interactive worksheet, so don't worry about putting a wrong answer down, okay? As long as you know the process, we're good. All right, so that is our math for today. Now you do have your interactive worksheet to do. Be sure when you are completing your interactive worksheet, decimals go in the right places. Be sure that fractions are reduced. Improper fractions cannot be an answer. It's never been acceptable. Still not acceptable. It must be reduced to lowest form, turned into a whole or mixed number, okay? All right, thank you guys.